Once again, welcome to the Perceptional. Plug in now as we welcome your host, Dr. James Denito.
Welcome back, friends and fans. I am Dr. James Denito, and I am the founder and host of The Perceptional, a show that will bring you diverse perspectives on how to live longer and healthier if you so desire. Today, we have guest co-host Rob Mattson. He and I just did a recent podcast together talking about the weather in ways that twist your mind a little bit and bring you into a deeper understanding and get some conspiracies going, of course, as to what's really causing the weather. And in the end, we still don't know what to do about it, but at least we have an idea. We're also going to go into people who have created a name for themselves and using health models and even using things our office has to offer to basically make a mark on the world and become a mentor to people. So today we have sports legend and great Torii Hunter from Major League Baseball. Now, Torii, I feel like I live in this place, but I've only had a membership here a couple of years. You have a different kind of ownership, so you felt the need to bring a studio of this caliber to the Frisco community. So why don't you start off by telling us why you wanted to be part owner of a studio?
Well, first of all, thank you for allowing me to be a part of the Perceptional. It's just my perception. But I definitely want to say thank you for allowing me to be a part of this podcast. I know you got a lot of information. I know you definitely bring a different perception on the Perceptional. So, but anyway, my brother-in-law worked for a company called Ogilvy, and they do a lot of Marvels and different things like that. And he was the lead on those Marvels. He rebranded Wonder Woman. He rebranded UPS, NASCAR, Nestle. He's been on a lot of different projects. And so when you see these new logos and the new Wonder Woman outfit and all these different things, he was the lead on those changes. So, but he told me, he said, you know what? Everything that I created or anything that people on his team that the creatives create, they don't own their product. The company does. So he wanted to create a space where most people that are creatives, and I think everyone is a creative. Some people just don't believe in it yet, and he kind of convinced me that, these gifts and talents that people have, they don't have a place to kind of, go out and exercise their creativity. Yep. But we do have a space for a gym that we go lift weights, bench press, run, jump, do all these different things. But he said, I want to create a gym for creatives to create, help them exercise the mind and exercise their creativity and their gift. And so his name was Terrence Price. Terrence Price was the one that actually, came up with this dream, and he sold me on it. And I'm like, okay, do your due diligence, come back to me, give me the pros and cons, and so I can do my due diligence. And we end up, building this whole building, but we were able to plug in Maker's Gym as well, and it's been a mainstay here at this Patios building.
There's actually a gym in here too, downstairs. Right?
Yes.
So there's it's all kind of gymnastics, so to speak, of the body and mind in here. Mm-hmm. Now, when you came to see me, that story is this year 2025 is kind of a special year, I think, for the world, for the country. A lot of transition of going back to some common sense and righteousness, yes, and things that are truth. But this year you're going to be turning 50. But you've also been out of baseball about 10 years now, yes, and Torii came to me about half time ago, 4 or 5 years ago, to start getting some health perspectives and changes. But your wife came to see me first, and I think she's the one who probably bumped you over here to come and see me. She probably got tired of you complaining about something hurting, or what brought you over to my office? Was it her, or was something that said, you know what, I need to have this knee fixed, or what was your...
Well, she told me a lot about you. When she came to you first, she came back, she was excited. Oh, he's so smart, and oh my God, I'm like, who is this guy? I gotta meet him, And I was more jealous than anything because you really caught her ear. But at the same time, when I came to see you, I was impressed. You know, I'm like, wow, this guy knows the body, knows the mind, he even knows the soul. And so I just enjoy coming there because the information that you give me can also help me, you know, in my everyday life. And, you know, me running into walls and running over catchers, sliding, taking out second baseman, concussions. You wouldn't even think in baseball I had 11 concussions. Say what? What did I say? Yeah, we had 11 concussions, but
and none of those because you banged your head on the locker because you were angry, right? It was.
I think I had a couple.
Is this the warning track?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, the warning track does not work. I want people to know that.
Okay.
I'm a professional.
Okay.
And I'm running after this ball. I'm like, where's the run? Boom. There's no warning track. So
it's a myth. I was told that you're supposed to feel the change of texture in your feet. And then you're supposed to say, oh, hey, there's a wall there.
And, you know, I did this. I played for 23 years professionally, and I've never felt the warning track. It was too late. I was already knocked out. I was like, I think I felt the warning track, but it was too late. So just concussions and, you know, knee surgeries. I had 3 knee surgeries. I had, you know, all these concussions, AC joints in my shoulder torn and ankle broke, groin surgery, you know, all these different things while I was playing the game of baseball. And so when I got real tired, not retired, I was real tired in 2015. And when I left the game, you know, I started, you know, getting massages more, seeing different chiropractors, and, you know, I just didn't like them as much. Just doing different things and changing my diet, you know, working out as much. But when I came to see him, he's like, you know, be careful lifting heavy weights. And, you know, he's talking about the body and just the information that he gave me. Actually, I feel like I can, especially the shot you gave me, stem cells.
The stem cells.
The stem cell shot.
We'll go into some detail on that.
It was
too,
very impressive. I was like, whoa, I feel my knee. And I'm running, I'm playing golf better, I'm doing all these different things. And that's something that I picked up as well as golf. And so for me to stay in line, because golf is unorthodox, you should not be swinging like that. Your body shouldn't be twisting like that. So to have somebody that's very informed on the body, for me is very pivotal to my game.
Torii made it to an elite upper group of baseball players, and baseball's been around a long time, but to make it into the upper 1% that make it 20 years or more in the profession. Now, some names that will come to mind in Texas would be like Nolan Ryan, for instance. But you last 20 years in baseball, you must have been doing something to recover from those injuries better than most people, because you probably had even maybe more injuries than a lot of players, but you recovered quicker and you knew tricks, and it could have been nutrition or just getting someone with the right hands on you. But also, you don't stay in baseball 20 years if you're not doing a good job. You know, management with the money, they're going to pay you to perform for them. And so he's had that amazing career. Now, with that many years in there, you really never left baseball. Tell us what you're still doing right now with baseball. Man,
can you really leave anything that you I think I was married to the game and my wife was my mistress.
Okay.
Why'd you tell that to my wife? But man, I was in love with the game. I played the game. It was my job, my life, my joy. You know, it was like my safe haven. Things that are going on in my household and my brothers, my father, and all these different things that were going on. I was able to go to the field, and it was like a safe haven. I didn't think about those things. I thought about helping my teammates win. We wanted to win the World Series. You know, wanted to do all these different things. And then when it was over, I go back to this real world. Right. And then you go through what you go through. But then when you go back to the stadium, it's the way it was. So just being with, what was the question again?
How'd you keep yourself in best shape?
You have to have a regime. I got the privilege of going into the Rangers locker room, dugout, got to have some pitches thrown at me. It was just who you know day type of thing, folks. So I kind of got in there out of clout. But nonetheless, it was a great experience. So I got to walk around in the locker room and literally see all the famous names on there. And I was looking at what did they bring into the locker room. And some of the longest lasting players, whose names I won't say now, had vitamins and stuff stacked in their
Yes.
locker, and most of them didn't. And so they already started figuring out that extra nutrition was going to be a big secret. So
Yeah.
you were supplementing yourself, I assume, then, as one?
Yes, I mean, you have to look at it as a business, And one thing that I did, for myself was I look at, all right, I need a percentage of from my trainer. If I make this much, I want at least 5% of my money to go towards training, nutrition, and all those different things that I need for my body, chiropractor, massage therapy, whatever it may be. So I had this certain amount of money that I wanted to put into my body every off season to help me last for the next season. So I would get a chef, and we have the chef, and my family ate healthy. My chef count my calories. He put all natural foods, ingredients, and all natural foods. Nothing with preservatives and additives and all that different things like that. And I told him to shop at Whole Foods only, And so he made all my food, counted my calories. I had to have so many calories because I was burning so much, and then go to a massage therapist. I had to have a massage every 2 days because we're lifting heavy in the off season, and then during the season I did that as well. Chiropractic work. So I'm familiar with chiropractic work, but that's why I'm telling you, Dr. James Denito is different than most chiropractors because I've seen them all, and no one explains things like he does. So I wish I'd have known him when I was playing the game of baseball. I probably would have played another 5 years. So just you have to take care of your body, and you say discipline. Discipline. Most people can have discipline. Most people can have self-discipline. It's hard to have self-discipline because self-discipline, you actually, over time, you like in the beginning of January, everybody, I'm excited, I'm gung-ho about lifting weights, I'm going to eat right, I'm going to do all these different things. 2 or 3 weeks later, after they're sore and their body's hurting and it's too much and they get rid of it. Most discipline is because you have some kind of purpose out there. You got to have a purpose to have discipline. You can't just have discipline because you got discipline. And so that's one thing that I've known. I hear people say it all the time and throw it out there. I just got to have discipline. But yet you telling me I don't know what I want to do in life. I don't know where I should be. But you can't have discipline if you don't have anything, a goal, or just a goal, first of all. But purpose, what's your purpose? We all live in our purpose right now. We all go through our purpose. We're preparing ourselves for our purpose. God is preparing us for our purpose. And so sometimes we get lost. So when you have that discipline, you don't know where you're going. You actually give up because self-discipline don't sustain you.
I think it comes back to habits and your identity. I decided that I was a walker. I identified as a walker. Said I was going to walk the circumference of the earth. I met David Goggins and listening to David Goggins Can't Hurt Me.
Yeah, I read that.
Was going to walk 12 miles a day for 3.5 years straight, ended up finishing early. And what it did is it turned me into a walker. So I shift my life. I find that it's back to, kind of your purpose and your identity. And I think most people don't build those habits up. And then as soon as the problems happen or there's some sort of a speed bump, they fall back to the least common denominator or the basement of their habits. And they stop doing the thing.
So tell me this, why do you walk?
Because I defrag my hard drive when I'm walking. It's a mental thing for me.
Yeah, so it's something that happens when you do it, right?
Yes.
Or, you want to have longevity.
I want to be surfing when I'm 80. That's my mission statement.
So your big purpose is beyond just clearing your brain out. It's still longevity.
Right.
Yes.
So that's what keeps you going. Some people don't have that. You got to really look at that. Sometimes when we have faith, it's actually something that we hold and think that's true. We got to act like that truth exists. So if you don't believe that truth exists, your discipline is going to their self-discipline is going to fold.
Exactly.
True discipline is when you have a why that's out there that you don't even understand you can't see it, you can't touch it, but you know it's out there. There's a truth, right? So that's what we have to do. And that's why they say faith without works is dead. You got to put in the work. You got to have discipline, but the faith has to be out there first. And you got to believe that it exists.
Now, while we're on the subject of discipline, You don't have much on your wiki page about years in the minor leagues. You did some minor league years, I assume.
Yes.
Where did you find the discipline, and how did you pay the bills? And where do you finally realize that it might be worth it, that you're going to be called up?
Man, 1997, I'm in AA in Hartford, Connecticut. And this is my third year, going into my third year there. And I was 20 when I got there, so I was one of the youngest, but I ended up staying there a little longer. And most of your Major League Baseball players come from AA to the big leagues. They try to skip you over AAA because there's so many guys get sent down, and they're really upset, and they're pissed off, and they don't want that to be contagious to the prospect.
Poison
the mind.
Yeah.
And so what they do is bring them up from AA. So I stayed there, and they didn't want me to go to AAA, so they kept me there as a youngster, and so me being there, just kind of, I was upset because it was my third year, and I almost quit. Almost gave it up. I had a scholarship for the University of Arkansas to play baseball. I was going to go back and try to play football, and then and get my degree. And my wife was in school at the time, and so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go back, be with my wife, and go back to school because I'm making $500 every 2 weeks. But that year when I was about to quit, I called my brother Torii, tough guy, love to fight. Might have been in the Crips, I can't say. And so he's like, you come home, you're gonna fight me every day. You better not give up, right? And I'm like, man, I don't want to fight him every day. and then my wife, I called my wife and said, I feel like I want to come home. She said, well, give it a year. If you feel like that this off season, then we can talk about it. But right now, don't give up. So this is May. And then I get a phone call. August, I start playing better, whatever. Everything started working out and playing better. And then I got a call August 22nd, 1997, to come to the big leagues. I went from, making $500 every 2 weeks with 5 roommates, and they 4 of them from Dominican Republic, from all over, and they didn't speak much English, and it was a great experience for me, but it was rough. I couldn't see my wife because she couldn't come in this situation. We couldn't afford anything. We couldn't afford the $2,500 a month rent. All of us paying different sizes, portions of the rent. And so when I got called up August 22nd of 1997, it just changed everything for me. I was able to sip that cup of coffee. They sent me back down, a week and a half later. I got sent back down to AA, but once you get sent back down, now it activates your first year Major League on the roster money.
Okay.
So I started making, $4,000 every 2 weeks, opposed to $500 every 2 weeks, and now I can support my family and send money home and store up money for the off season, and so that kind of sparked something for me, and I was able to see what I was about to give up, and it wasn't until I almost had that give up moment that it started changing for me. And I know some you guys and other people that's out there, whenever you have that give up moment, that's when you know that if you give it one more push, you'll be okay. Just stay through it. Some people give up, and when you give up, somebody takes over, and just you were digging all those years, and the next thing you know, they find gold on 2 digs.
It's that meme, the guy that's turned around before he got to the...
So you got to be careful and really don't give up. You got to keep pushing through. I think success is on the other side of discomfort. Success is always on the other side of discomfort, and you have to get to a point where you feel like you're going through hell to create heaven. Most people love heaven first, but then they have hell later. So create your hell early. Create the hell early.
So when you see players moving from team to team, and over your 20 years, you're on 3 different teams, and I know a lot of times the players have no choice, they're traded, but when there is choices, but what moves players more than anything? Is it something they're chasing, that World Series, that championship? Mm-hmm. But that's what management is chasing. Did the discipline you needed to, you were out of the 3 teams you were on, I understand 2 of those made it to World Series during the time you were playing, but you just weren't on the teams at the time. You might
I hate that.
How did I just miss that? So that's another thing where you kept pushing, but because you hadn't been on a World Series team, you don't consider yourself having given up, though, that it wasn't worth it. It was more of the body saying, I can't take any more. What was really that point? It was the physical parts of it?
Man, I was 40 years old the day I announced my real retirement. I hate to say retirement, that means death. But real tired, that's what I really was. But at 40 years old, most people don't play to 40. And I was sitting in that locker room when I went back to the Minnesota Twins in 2015. That was my second stint there. After playing, 15 years in that organization, I came back for a 16th year. And so when I came back, everybody's young. The organization is still new, and is new faces. And so when I was sitting there, I'm sitting next to a guy that was the same age as my son, Byron Buxton. And he's still playing with the Twins right now. He's a center fielder, and he was my teammate. He came up as a rookie, and I'm like, this guy's the same age as my son. It's like I'm talking to my son, and then when I come around, they straighten up like I'm a dad, and I'm like, bro, keep talking about what you're talking about. Keep doing what you're doing. I've done it already. Done all them things that you think you know, all the things you think you're hiding from me. I know it already.
So you don't think it was out of respect? You think they were?
It was definitely out of respect. I get it, but I wanted that old.
You wanted to be part of the group.
I wanted to be part of the clique, the team, and I was. I created some things, for them. That this is when the social media age really came, because when we lost in 2015, these guys would be on their phones, and they would laugh. They were laughing out loud, and I'm like, what's going on? And so. I got to a point where I told them, no phones 15 minutes after a loss. No phones, right? So just sit in your locker, think about how we lost, right? It was guys that were striking out to end the game or had, 3 strikeouts in a game, and it was like, no problem. They got on their phone, look at this picture. I'm like, what is going on? Pretend like you like your job, right?
A little bit.
Right, so one thing I did, I said, man, you know what? I'm the oldest. Let me figure out something. I went and I made this rule. Said 15 minutes after the game, you can't do it. So, and when we won, I had bought smokers, like smoke machines and laser lights and all these different things. So when we won, you put on your mask, it's glowing. I cut all the lights off and all this smoke, and I turned the music up loud. We had a guy who was a DJ. He was DJing. So we win, we party, right? And so we end up winning. Because they loved that the first time we did it, we ended up winning like 10 in a row. And we're the youngest team in baseball. And we lost the last game of the season. We lost to the Kansas City Royals to not go to the playoffs. And the Royals ended up winning the World Series in 2015. Wow. And we got beat by the team, that went to the World Series. So I don't feel too bad about that. But just for me, not getting to the World Series, that's not what was on my mind. I wanted to do it. I wanted to win because I've been born and bred it to go to the World Series and win the World Series. You have a manager comes in spring training, and the first spring training meeting, we're sitting in our chair, and he says, boys, we're going to go to the World Series. You buy into it. Yeah. And then next thing you know, you got guys lifting weights, and they're working out, they're getting the ground balls, they're hitting, trying to learn the slider. You're learning all these different things. And the reason why I was saying discipline, that they were so disciplined because they had a why. When you sell a vision to someone, you sell a why to someone, they actually do a little bit more. Yep. So we were always motivated by money. We're always motivated to help our families. But you give them a little bit more and tell them why we're here and what we do. We're here to win a World Series, a championship for this organization, and then you buy into it. And before you know it, you brainwashed, and you played 23 years of pro ball trying to search and get this World Series because I knew it was there. It's hard to touch. I've seen it before, but I never touched it.
Think about a league like that with so many talented people spread out on any given year, who's ever the champion. It really is a head game of who's probably the best motivator on there. Now, I'm going to prelude this question first that as I get older, I seem to be, I don't want to say getting grumpier, and maybe that being an excuse, but I'm losing patience with things. And so I'm trying to have a little bit of humorous anger as my viewpoint of the world is revealing here. And I think from what I see of this man here, he is a gentle soul. Maybe somebody else might disagree, but he's got a lot of patience right now. And I will put that in perspective. Your last year in baseball, when things didn't go well with that call, I looked at that play, and you ended up getting ejected, as did the manager, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Paul Molitor, he was.
what led up to that kind of frustration, where you just had enough, and I'm throwing off all my baseball armor here as well?
You know what? It was staged. That's what people don't realize. I staged that whole thing. I said, you know what? I'm gonna go a little further. It was my last year. I knew it was my last year, but I was trying to prove a point. So the whole day, it was the Royals and the Twins. The umpire was calling pitches off outside the corner. It was a ball for sure. I'm on the defensive side, so I'm against the Royals, but I'm looking at this pitch. I'm like, oh, this is terrible. Right. Charles Barkley, terrible, right? and so the pitch was outside. He misses a call. Inside, the guy moves out of the way, almost get hit. He says, strike 3. I'm like, oh, this guy's terrible. Then we get to the plate, and he's calling pitches outside, up, down, all around. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. But our young guys wasn't saying anything. They were walking off and don't say anything. They'll walk off and don't say anything. I'm like, you guys got to say something. I said, watch what happens. Right?
Okay.
So
let me show you.
I knew I was going to get thrown out. I said, this day I got to get thrown out just to pump the team up. So that day when it happened, he called a pitch outside, and I know it was outside. He's been terrible all day. He has a track record. The data doesn't lie. Right? And so I'm like, that's a ball. But I can't tell you all the stuff I said. It's rated R. And he rated R back, and so we kind of got into it, and we were just talking. I was trying to keep it where I wasn't embarrassing him, and then when Molitor came out, and Molly said, "Man, what's the problem, Paul Molitor?" And he's a Hall of Famer. He's guy I respected. He was my teammate, my coach, and my manager. Okay. How about that? Yeah. And so he taught me a lot in the game. He's probably the one guy that was more mentor to me than Kirby Puckett. And so he's arguing with the umpire, and he said, what did he say? He said, I suck. That's what Torii said, I suck. He said, well, you do. You do suck. And he said, oh, you're out of here. And I'm like, you threw out my mentor. That's my guy. And then I'm going off on him, and then he threw me out. And I said, but you know what? You guys think you know everything. Here's my jersey. You try it. Take it. And I threw it. And I threw my batting gloves. You hit too, and just did all these different things. And then when I was running down, if you go look at it, I was running down the tunnel, down the stairs, going into the tunnel, and I said, guys, that's how you get thrown out. And they was all like just laughing or whatever. And when they came in, it was a show. It was me pumping my team up who was struggling. We were struggling, and we ended up winning that game.
Good.
We won the game because you got to have some kind of spark. Right? And I'm the veteran. I'm a more seasoned guy. If I get thrown out at that time, we all struggle against, we striking out. How can I pump the team up? And that's what you do. And so we start having guys with a little more fire opposed to, I'm just here.
Yeah. Amazing. Now, you don't stage flipping over a wall, though.
Nope.
That was amazing athleticism to land on your head and not break your neck, though. But did you lose the ball on the lights that day, or was it the wall got in the way?
Man, there's a story up to that story, right? I went to dinner at Capitol Grill in Boston with David Ortiz, Big Papi. So we went to dinner. He's my teammate, my roommate. He was my teammate with the Twins, for 8 years. So he's like my brother, right? And so now we released him with the Twins, and he goes over to the Red Sox to get picked up. And then they found a diamond in the rough. I felt like he was the best hitter on our team. When we released him, we couldn't believe it. So I go to dinner with him the night before the ALS game, game 2. And so he says, man, I know Benoit, who used to be with Texas Rangers, Joaquin Benoit. He said, I got his pictures. I'm like, you don't have his pictures. He said, man, I got his pictures. And we were taught by Paul Molitor, both of us, how to pick up tip pitches. So I knew he had the pitches, and I pick up all the pitches in majority of Major League Baseball pitchers.
You mean you just watch them what their hand grips are doing,
Yeah, they
or
get
their
it.
actions?
They move a lot. That's, if it grips, trying to get a tighter grip, it's tight, fastball. When they throw the changeup, you get the grip, and they go like this. When they go in there and they go like this, it opens up. It's because the changeup grip is a little bigger, right? Yep. And so you like, oh, changeup. Or if it's something different, right? All I need to know is one pitch is different. That's it. Now I can look for the other two. If I eliminate one, I got a better chance of getting a hit. So Ortiz knew this. He knew when the changeup was coming. So when I told Joaquin the next day, I went and just said, hey, man, Ortiz got your pitches. You need to switch it up, flare and throw a fastball, tighten and throw the changeup. Yep. Oh, man, I'm not worried about that. He said, I'm not worried about that. I'm like, what? And me and Prince Fielder and all of us was like, all right, you messing with the best hitter in playoff history, right? And also, if he says he got your pitch, he got your pitches. And so Ortiz struck out 3 times that game. 3 times. We had him at bay. We didn't have to pitch to him, the best hitter in the playoffs. We don't want to pitch to him or anything. Now it's bases loaded, Ortiz coming to the plate. I'm excited about it, but then they say, shh, pitch and change. I'm like, no, pitch and change, who's coming in? And I saw Benoit running, and I'm in right field, and I saw him running in. And I'm like, remember what I said? And he didn't hear me. He kept running. So first pitch, change up. First, who swings at a first pitch changeup anyway? You guys tell me, who swings at a first pitch changeup? No one.
No one.
But Ortiz, if you know what's coming, you swing at a first pitch changeup if it's up. So he threw it 88 miles an hour, changeup, right over the middle of the plate. Bullet, stayed in the lights because it was hit so hard in the line, it stayed in the lights that long, but I knew it was back there somewhere. And when you're running, just like when you're walking down the street, someone's behind you, right. You can tell someone's walking behind me. Yeah. I knew when I was running, and I'm looking at the ball while I'm running, I said, oh, I feel this fence. I'm going to die today because it's the playoffs. This is my opportunity to go to the World Series. What would I do for the World Series? I was brainwashed to die for it, right? And so I go up. I saw it come out of the lights. I was like, oh. And so I tried to go up, but the wall was so short. It's a short wall out there. It flipped me over. So as I was going over, the ball was still going over as well. So it was going like this. And that's how I missed the ball because lost it in the lights and went over, and then Benoit threw a changeup.
Well, I tell a lot of stories like that, too, when I need good excuses. So that's fascinating stuff.
Can I ask a question? Doubling down, was it better making a home run or stealing a home run?
Oh, my goodness. You did your research. Man, you know what? I've hit home runs since I was, 10 years old, right?
Yep.
And I've hit home runs, but it's so rare that you can rob a home run. Yeah. They said over 35 times in the major leagues that I've robbed a home run. And to this day, every time I robbed a home run, I lost my mind. It was so much adrenaline that I get dizzy. Like I'm like so pumped up and so much fire. When you hit a home run, I guess I was taught to be respectful. I hit a home run and not show up the pitcher so much. You can't hit the home run, and I had to reserve myself. Okay. And now you see more animation when guys hit home runs. They flip their bat, they do all those things, and it's more of a disrespect right now. Not saying don't change with the times. The times is they have fun. I like the fun that they have. But us, when I was coming up, we couldn't do that. But when I robbed a home run, it was so much adrenaline, and I was so pumped up that I'm telling you, the blood rush to my head was like I got dizzy. I was so pumped up, and so I'd rather rob a home run than hit a home run any day.
Yeah, that was what I guessed. Awesome. Thank you.
When you were hitting those first home runs as a kid and saw a calling, were you treated differently as a kid with your athletic talents by teachers or your friends, or you're just trying to fit right in and not seem to be privileged?
No, I had no privileges, but in the neighborhood, coming up, I was playing football. Football was my first love, and everybody played football and where I'm from. And baseball was like, I played it because it was that time of year. So as same as football and same as basketball, same as track and baseball. Whenever that time of year, I played that sport. I really didn't understand how good I was in baseball until a scout came around about 13, 14 years old. He said, "Hey man, you're on our radar." We were able to go to Santa Fe, New Mexico and play in this tournament at 13 years old. It was my first time on a plane looking and seeing the land developed and it's sectioned off. You're like, wow, this is crazy. How do people do this? And so got into Santa Fe, stayed with this host family who every morning, they got up in the morning, they took showers and ate breakfast at the table. We didn't do that in our family, and so just it kind of changed everything for me. So baseball actually changed my perspective of different things and different people and all that. So I kind of grew fond of it later on. And football was just, everybody was doing it, all my friends, and so I wanted to be a part of that. And, I had offers for football. I was not bad in football. And so just, coming up in the game, playing the game of baseball, it actually changed everything for me, But it wasn't my thing. It wasn't the thing that I really wanted to play.
What was your position in football?
Football was a quarterback and a safety.
Okay.
Yeah, so I played safety. They call me the Sandman. I put you to sleep.
Okay.
Quarterback, I got hit a lot.
Okay.
I did some running. I was a running back as well, but mostly quarterback my whole life. And then baseball came around, man. I had to do it. My granddad played a little bit against the Negro Leagues.
Okay.
Played in leagues that they had in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. He played against Willie Mays. And
Wow.
Willie Mays actually knew my grandfather.
That's fantastic.
And, I was able to have a conversation with him. And he said, it was a guy named George. And my grandfather's George Cobbs. And everybody knows him. And he taught me how to throw the ball. He made me sit down every day to watch the Cubs. When the Cubs play all day games, no night games then. And Harry Carey, his voice.
Carey.
So I had to go to my grandparents' house after school. And I sit on the couch, and I never knew what my grandfather was saying because he mumbles. And he goes, baseball, that's all I knew. He said, sit down on that couch. Translation, sit down on that couch and watch this game of baseball, right? And I sit down, I watch the Cubs, and I have my backpack on. It's 2:45. Cubs are in the seventh inning. Andre Dawson gets up, black African-American. He had a curl. I had a curl at the same time, and he's hitting a home run. I'm like, wow. Hit a home run. So the next day, come home and, to my grandparents' house, I sit down, home run. I'm like, man, he hit another one? That year he hit 49 home runs, over 100 RBIs, and he had no guaranteed money. He just said, I'm going to play, you pay me what you want. It was a blank check, and they actually paid him as he hit 49 home runs, one of the best players. I think he got MVP that year. And so I was able to see that. That changed me, and I really wanted to play the game of baseball. So only thing I knew was to watch the game, hit like a person, like Andre Dawson. I had a stiff front leg. I had the wiggle on the bat. I had the curl and all these things. So I'll go watch the game on TV, and that's how I learned to play the game of baseball. But it really wasn't that love because I was Walter Payton. Walter Payton was my favorite, and football, just everybody was doing it. And so I wasn't the one that had the privileges. It's just everybody in my neighborhood, they knew that I had an option, a chance to go to college. They said, hey, don't you go over here with those guys. They steal cars. Don't go over here. Those the gangsters. And I knew all of them. I just didn't hang with them. They tell me don't know. Or if I go out and we hanging out at a house party, something goes down, they grab me and say, you got to go. And so, I had more protection in my neighborhood than anything starting from my sophomore year to my senior year. I had. So the privilege that I had was definitely for safety and protection in the hood.
Yeah, it's almost a little bit spiritual there then. So with your own 20 years. How did you find through all those experiences the balance with your own family and kids then? Was it all on the wife to do all that with that, or was there special ways you found with the limited time you could be with the family to give them some privilege of your wisdom?
Well, just, me being gone all the time, 8 months out of a year, it was tough. So when I came home for 4 months, I tried to throw everything at my children. I was always under them. I was taking them to school, and like they said we're going to the mall, and I'd be like, "Can I go with you?" They were like, "That's weird. That's weird."
Okay.
And so I tried to pour all these things about. Man, we talked about the girls. We talked about finances. We talked about respect and how to carry yourself. Watch your anger. Anger can destroy all this different things like that. And so I was able to pour all these things into him in 4 months, and it was just a lot. And I still wanted to keep my relationship with my sons, going to the gym, or go in the batting cage, or do all these things, and also work with them as well. So when I came home, it was more, let me work on some things because I know I'm about to leave. Right. And so a man that's gone all the time, it's hard to show your love their wife that love. Right. And it's hard for my wife to give me that respect. Respect is love to me. My wife knows love because she's built on it. But if you don't give me the respect, how can I give you love? If I don't give you love, then you can't give me respect. So it was hard in the first 5 years. She's never seen anything like this marriage. Her dad was home, and my dad was home, and I never seen it either. But baseball is not normal. It's not normal to leave eight months. That's why they pay you a lot of money, because it destroys. Yep. And but my wife, she endured. She hung in there. So anything that I said, this is what our kids need to be like. They need to have this. She actually was my viceroy, and she made it happen. They had to take the trash out. They had to go to bed at a certain time. And she said, no, you can't go there, because your dad said no. Dad's not here. I uphold what he says. Right. And I respect her. I love her for that, because she gave me the respect while I was gone, and still the rules still stayed set. And so for me to be the father I wanted to be, it was tough. But
how'd you stay in touch with them? Was it through letters back in the beginning?
No. Well, we had phones.
We still had phones.
Yeah. We had not cell phones.
But we weren't doing FaceTime, and we weren't doing it. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I remember my kids back then, and I'm trying to put you in that position. I wrote letters and sent cards and stuff like that, and we'd get to talk on the phone from time to time. Is that your experience too? I
wasn't a letter writer.
Okay.
But I was more of a phone caller.
Okay.
So we sat on the phone. My wife and I, we sat on the phone for 2 hours. Okay. I just finished a game at 10 p.m., and I go home trying to decompress, and she said, I just want to talk, and we'll be on the phone to 2 a.m., and then fall asleep on the phone because we miss each other so much. Yep. And then there was so much to talk about, what the kids did that day. Got 3 sons. They all different. They all go through something in life, but they grow up in the same household, but they can be so different.
Was she your manager too? Was she telling you things about the game and what you missed and what, that kind of critique?
She did not. She did not want to talk about baseball. Okay. I think at that time, even my sons didn't like baseball. That's why they all play football in college. Okay. Torii played at Notre Dame, Money played at Arkansas State, and Darius actually played junior college out in Riverside, California. So they all went football route and not baseball, because I feel like, they might tell you different, and it might have a little bit to do with it, but baseball took me away from them. Okay. Right? So it's kind of like subconsciously you're like, I'm really not into baseball.
Provided you a lifestyle and a living, and I'm saying that the ignorance is they don't know that, but at the same time, it took that away.
But now, even for all you fathers out there, no matter what you say and what you do, sometimes you're not going to be liked, because you got to prepare your kids for what's about to happen in this world, what the world that they're going to. My wife can do the nurturing, but me, I have to be a preparer. A person that can prepare you for what's about to happen in this world. And if you're not prepared for this world, you're not preparing your children for this world. You're not doing what you're supposed to do as a man, as a father, as a husband as well. So, and that's what I was trying to do in 4 months, and that's all I can see myself doing, because my wife already has the nurturing part down. I have to do this, and sometimes you're going to not be liked. Yep. right? And then, but when they got older, and now they have children, and I have 6 grandchildren, and now they have children, we have the best relationship. And he sit down and he's like, you remember you told me this? Now I get it. You remember you told me this? Man, I get it. So my son played with the Angels for 7 years, and he was gone and traveling. And he came to me, and he said, I want to tell you that I'm sorry, you know. And I'm like, what you mean? He's like, man, I was upset. Now I see why you know, my other son plays in Canadian football, and he's gone. His kids are here, you know. And he's like, man, it's hard. I want to be with my kids. I said, think about how I felt. I had to go play, but I really wanted to be with you guys. Every night I'm like, wonder what my sons are doing. I called just to see what you guys did for the day, you know. And so, it's hard, but you have to balance it. You have to do daily check-ins. You have to call your wife and tell her you love her, you miss her. And but when they came around, I actually spent time with them, and opposed to playing. Sometimes you can play the game. They're outside waiting on you when they come visit you. And some people go home when they strike out and have bad days. They go home and they're still thinking about the at-bat as opposed to being present. Right? You have to be present. Be 100% where you are.
Yep.
Right? When you're at the stadium, be 100%. When you're I'm here in this podcast, right? And I'm here 100%. And when you're with your wife, be 100%. With your children, 100%. I'm going to give you I won't give you 50-50. Why would I do that? That's half of me. So I would detox. The game is over. The game's over at 10. I will sit an hour. My wife and kids will sit out there an hour because I can't take this to them. I struck out in front of 50,000 people and 1 million people watching.
Yep.
And I struck out. And with the bases loaded, the game was over. But I got to get up and do it the next day. And I can't take this to my wife. So I sit in my locker, take a deep breath, talk to my guys, what you see, and and try to figure out what's going on before I get out. And then when I did that, I actually didn't pour it over to my family. I was able to focus on them, focus on my wife. So you have to be 100% present in where you are.
Excellent. These lessons of the game is really the game of life as well. So listen, people, to what this man is saying, because you all can learn something, and that's why you're watching this show. We're going to talk about what he's doing now, which a lot of athletes don't do well financially after the game. There's all kind of reasons for bad advice. And Torii went into some tough businesses, the restaurant business, especially in the last 4 or 5 years when it comes to what COVID did to all of those restaurants. And he even was at some of his new openings on the way here. So he had a busy day today with restaurant business. Who gave you the advice to move into that particular type of field, a tough one at that?
No one gave me advice to
You dreamed that up when you were walking, or?
No, not at all. Like my financial advisors for years, like, don't ever do restaurants. Don't ever do restaurants. Don't ever do restaurants. And he said, if you do it, make sure it's with someone and you're just an investor. Make sure it's someone that's been doing it for a while, right?
Kind of like a silent partner kind of thing.
Silent partner. And so this opportunity of barbecue came about in 2016. My son's father-in-law, he owns a restaurant called Papagayos in Salina, and he said, man, I have an opportunity to open a barbecue restaurant. And I was like, man, I call myself pit master at home, so I feel like I can cut up a little bit on the grill and grill master. And so I said, yeah, I would love to invest in it. It was only a certain amount of money. You put it in there. If you lose it, I won't cry about it, right? So we did it, and we opened up in 2017, September 5th, 2017. I worked in there for 8 months. I learned all the kitchen. I learned how to cut. I learned how to, customer satisfaction, kingdom service. I learned all these different things. Learned how to do the register, the pours for wine and how much you should get out of a pour for a wine and all those different things. And so just learning that for 8 months, it really grew. And next thing you know, everybody started coming. All my golf buddies and all these places, all my friends, they started coming, and then they started telling everybody. The word of mouth is still the most powerful marketing.
Agreed.
No matter what. And before you know it, Yelp came in 2 years later, and they they came in several times, and it was consistent, and the service was exceptional, and so they called us and said, "Hey, we're gonna rank you number 2 in the nation," and we were like,
What?
"And what?" and it was like, in restaurant business, not barbecue, in the restaurant business in the nation, some restaurant in Bend, Oregon, beat us out. Right, the number 1, and I didn't like it.
Have you gone to visit that place?
I haven't, but I still didn't like it because I was number 2, not number 1. And so before you know, we had 2-hour waits in Salina, Texas, downtown Salina, Tender Smokehouse, and we had 2-hour waits, and we're like, wow. It started hitting us, and we was working hard, and we still kept the service, maintained the service. People were patient, and it was okay with waiting because they want to get in and taste it. And so we had to hurry up and open up a second one. And we opened up the second one in Frisco, and it was already built out. It used to be a company called 3 Stacks, a barbecue joint, and they built all these had new pits and new everything in there. We were like, yeah, we'll take over this lease, and we took it over, and we brought the people in, and the food was different. The quality it wasn't the same. I'm like, wow, the food doesn't taste the same, right? And because the smokers were brand new, it didn't have the grit. And the you have to smoke brisket
Seasoned.
and season it inside. And so it just took a minute. For the first 3-4 months, people were like, oh, that's not the same. I like Salina location. So everybody would skip Frisco and go to Salina location from South Dallas all the way to Salina just to skip this location that's here. And before you know it, we had this older gentleman that was a frequent visitor at our place. And he said, hey, let me see your smokers. And he goes back there and he said, he opened it up and he's like, you need to burn at least 10 briskets if you can in the next 2 weeks. Watch how it changes. So we will smoke the brisket and burn them, and smoke the brisket, burn 'em.
Destroy the...
Yeah, just to make it, destroy the brisket. You're done.
Yeah.
And it gets that seasoning in there. And then next thing you know, it started tasting the same. We were like, wow, it's the same.
Right.
And so the lesson that we had in the restaurant business that actually got us and catapulted us on systems and how to do things, it was restaurant number 2 that actually taught us the lesson of what we can do. It wasn't restaurant 1. It was restaurant 2.
Struggles give us the lesson.
Yeah.
Always.
Yep.
Is there plans to say we found a way to make healthier barbecue and using honey instead of sugars or grass-fed beef? There might be a catch there where you can start taking it to another level because it's hard to get good quality ingredients and be competitive in a business with such a 7 or 8% profit margin, right? Something like that.
Oh, yeah.
It's down low.
Yeah. It's hard because to get the better ingredients, it costs more, right?
Yeah,
so now you got to raise the price on the customer. And our target market, our customers, it might be middle class, lower middle class, people that love barbecue. And, we get some people that they're vegan, and I'm like, man, this is Texas barbecue. I really don't want to change Texas barbecue, but I do want to have options for people that want to come in, and like the vegans or vegetarians or whoever it may be, they can come in, and we are working on that. We are doing that. We have some that are vegan right now, but at the same time, do you want to take that away from 95% of the people and cater to the 5%? You got to be careful doing that. You can go broke. Because our model is only Texas barbecue. That's it. And these people in Texas are still Texas folks.
How's the mac and cheese?
The mac and cheese is good.
Okay.
It's really good.
Because that's how I rated barbecue places.
Yeah, the mac and cheese. The mac and cheese is good.
Good.
It's what you would expect.
Okay.
And I think people rave about the mac and cheese. I think children really love it. Okay. But my favorite, the beans.
Okay.
The beans are really good. If you try the beans, we put the beans on a Frito pie. We're getting French fries because everybody wants French fries, and we have the oil that we use is actually more healthier than any oil that we have. So it's a peanut oil with no peanut. I have no idea how that happened. Chick-fil-A uses it.
Okay.
And so anybody have a peanut allergy, you won't have it. So it's really good. It's healthier, and it costs a little more, but that's what we're willing to do. My wife really wants it, so we're doing it. And so we are rolling out some French fries soon because that's what the world wants for the last 5 years.
What kind of fries? like big thick steak fries? Have you done all that market research to figure out what you're going to do?
Yeah, we did. We actually had our last test yesterday, taste test, and it was actually really good. It's not steak fries.
Not a big
Yeah.
like a thick
But
fry.
I
It's
don't
more.
wanna-
You don't want to give away how
Yeah.
thick. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll be surprised.
They're good. They're
Okay.
really good.
Good.
So you got restaurant business as a coffee shop, and you have a charity organization. Is that through golf, or how do you give back a lot? You're grateful, and that comes from faith too. But tell us about your support of charity work, and what is that through the golf game? Is it through any other things that people have access to?
Man, we do so many things, man. I've been doing this for, over 20 plus years. And so we work with a group here. It's Minnie's Food Pantry. So I've been with Minnie's Food Pantry in Plano with Cheryl Action Jackson, we call her. And she's been feeding families. She's fed over 4 million, 5 million people in just the state of Texas itself. And she's done that in New York and different places as well. But we've been with her for 15 years, 20 years. And I grew up in Palm Bluff, Arkansas, as you know, and I stood in line at a place called Neighbor to Neighbor Food Bank. And they fed people. On certain days, they would feed you. And so me, my grandmother, my brothers, we were standing in that line. We never knew that we didn't have something. We was just standing in line, and we'd see our friends over there, and we have a good time. We eat free, and then we go home and enjoy ourselves. And as I got older, I realized, like, man, that's a place where they help people. So I've always been passionate about feeding people because it's something that was near and dear to my heart that I actually went through. And, as a kid, you just don't know. As you got older and we had to go back there, I was embarrassed. I was like, no, the girl might see me, that I like. And so it was kind of embarrassing. But at the same time, I was getting fed, and Neighbor in Pine Bluff was doing that. So I linked up with Cheryl Jackson here at Minnie's Food Pantry locally to help feed people that needed to be fed, because food, shelter, and clothing are the basic needs that everyone needs. And if you can stay in those areas, then you're doing something that God has created us to step in and help out with. We also have Still Got Game. It's a bunch of baseball players. We don't have game on the field anymore, but we still got game off the field. And it's Kenny Lofton, Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds, and all these different guys. LaTroy Hawkins here locally, all over. We have so many guys. And Greg Maddox, Tom Glavine, all these guys are part of it, Cal Ripken. And so we go everywhere, and I'm with a group that teaches the financial literacy. We go to different schools and talk about the emotion of money. Be careful with your emotions. Every time you see someone says, hey, I like your shoes, right? And they're Nikes or Jordans or whatever it may be. And that person that hears it and sees it, they go and do everything they can to go get some Jordans because they want to get, appreciation or affirmation as well. And that's how you spend your money. You spend your money on emotions. The love of money is the root of all evil, not money itself. So the love will be the emotion of that thing. When you start lying, cheating, and stealing for money, that's when you lose your soul. So, and we're trying to teach these kids that's going to college, be careful with these credit cards. They're going to come after you. The key is to get the youth. If I get you young, then I got you for life. So we do that in Minneapolis and Compton and Florida, all over.
That makes more sense to me why I went into restaurant business now, other than the financial risk there. And it's a wonderful story when you think about be able to feed people. And there's biblical things about bringing food to the masses as well, out of something very little that can turn into something very big.
That's probably why I'm in it. I probably never thought about that, actually. That's crazy. Him saying those little words, I'm like, that's probably why I got in it. It's also cool, man,
I like barbecue.
Yeah. And barbecue is barbecue, right? But when you're able to give that check we got 161 employees. And when you give those checks to those people, they go home and have food, shelter, and clothing. And you actually had a part in that.
Yep.
Because you created this entity that these 160 people can go home and have food, shelter, and clothing. So I'm doing whatever I can to keep it afloat and keep growing and expanding, so people can have more more opportunities. And that's what it's all about. And if you've never done it, if you've never tried it, you can always knock it. You're gonna say, oh, they're money hungry, they're greedy. Man, I get it now. These people really got people dependent on them to keep this thing going.
Yep.
If somebody comes in your household and they're not doing the things that they're supposed to do, and it can tear the household down, you actually let them go. Hey, you got to walk. Even your own children, sometimes you be like, look, you're destroying the house. Go take a walk, or go get your own apartment, or go get your own place. You fire your children.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing in the business, man. It's like, okay, you're going to destroy everything that these people are trying to do, and you, the only one that's not showing up, you're not doing what you need to do, you're calling in sick, you're doing all these different things.
Right.
We got to let you go because you actually hurting other people.
Do they send them to you for that conversation?
I have that conversation.
Are you?
I do. And when I send them off, it's not even like, you're fired, da-da-da. And I ask, why you're late? I ask, what's going on in your life?
Yep.
And before you know it, if someone's late all the time, I go and talk to them about that first. And then majority of the time, they go, man, let me tell you what, my mother and father just got a divorce, right?
Yep.
Some of these people are 18, 19, 20 years old, 16, some of them.
Yep.
And that's why I didn't show up. So they're just going through something. So there's a moment to have ministry as well, right? And ministry is not just in your church. It's not at your church. It's at your job every day. It's people around you every day. And that's what I found in this restaurant business, ministry.
I have gotten deep, and I won't take us down a rabbit hole, but I've gotten deep into the sort of Web3, crypto, NFT, community world. And I'm known as Gramps. I'm the oldest fucker in every room. I'm the old guy. And it reminds me of my kids. Growing up in headphones on, talking smack, playing video games with somebody around the world.
You doing that?
No, I'm not doing that. No.
Okay.
I haven't gotten. But that's the kind of group that I feel like I'm mentoring, and I'm helping. My cause or my group is Lead with Love. Everybody's driven by fear, and the two-party system to just anything. Like everything is, here's the bad stuff. It's part of our climate and conversation we had before, and I'm trying to do everything I can to show the youth that having faith, leading with love, it's in super simple things. I know we're way off topic, but it's like you walk into the kitchen, you were going to clean something up, somebody else is cleaning it up. Instead of saying, hey, thank you, most people will be like, oh, I was going to do that. And it's like, okay, well, you just kind of tore down everything I just did for you. So in my house, my wife and I, we just come up to each other now, we just say, thank you, like almost intentionally. So, sorry, go ahead.
He says, sorry, go ahead.
So I mentioned you are going to be turning 50 this year. And I remember when I turned 50, I threw a big party at South Fork Ranch, rented out the Oil Barons Ballroom, made a big production of giving back to the world. We had chefs with tall white hats on and the best food. We filmed the lecture, and you can go watch it on my website. It's called Being Human on an Inhuman Planet. And then after that, it was like, I probably should have done something different than that. It was almost anticlimactic. And I have people do all kinds of things when they have a certain threshold. 50 is a big number, though.
Yeah.
Any special plans at what you might want to do for making it half a century?
I have to, my friends and golf buddies and all that say, hey, you have to make the plan by the end of this month because they have to make plans as well. And so I might keep it local, just do a golf trip with all my friends and, have a party later on that night. And you're invited.
Thank you.
And so we'll play golf at PGA, play the East Course, West Course, and play at General Creek and Prosper. Just spend 3 days of playing golf and then afterwards, just mingling and talking. So me spending my 50th playing golf, I love golf, with a bunch of friends that I played with and played against, people that I love. I would love that. My family to come around, and if we can gather somewhere in the PGA area and have a little party with some chefs with big hats and some maybe a band, a live band, and I think that's all I need, man.
Well, your wife put up with all the time you were away, and then now golf can take you away a lot. And I understand she's learning to play and getting out there on the links with you, though,
Yeah.
right? So that's why you can, take a golf trip like that. But gosh, folks, I've seen so many people take up golf after all kind of different careers and vocations, and it's a brutal sport. You don't really appreciate how brutal baseball is. He was telling you some of the things that you'll go through from the collisions and even just traveling on airplanes and buses and all of that. But golf is really brutal. There's just nothing good about it except it's great for business for me. So he's going to be a patient for life. I have to put stem cells in him every year to keep up with the wear and tear. The DGA has its own chiropractic bus clinic that travels with them. Tiger Woods was one of the earlier pioneers of telling everybody that chiropractic was helpful. And he still, like a lot of those players, needed to have joint replacements because they weren't using stem cells. So Torii is having a great experience with stem cells. We did them twice with you. Once was in the knee, and then once was just a general tune-up for a lot of what ails you on here. And we have a separate podcast you can go watch on what stem cells are, where they come from, how to get them. And it's a great tool to have up my sleeve here, and especially for the athletes, because to stimulate regeneration, to put back damaged parts, it's a real miracle to bring that back. It's easy to stop things from getting worse, slow down degeneration even, but to regenerate, that's the secret. And that's why he's such a happy guy right now, because he's playing golf better than he's ever imagined, and we're going to keep him in that kind of shape here. But I'm not going to ask him why he chose golf, because I think it's probably business more than anything. It's the only way you get a lot of business. It's still
humbling.
Competition. Yeah, I
It's
guess.
very humbling.
Very humbling. Very humbling.
Very humbling.
Sometimes you're the bug, and sometimes you're the windshield.
Okay.
Well, the way it was explained to me is a 300-yard drive and a 6-inch putt, they both won.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
They're both won.
And they're different games you got to play.
Yeah. It's humbling.
Well, I'm on the sixth tee of one of the golf courses here I live in, so we get to sit out and watch all kind of players coming through, and it is amazing how many variations of swings, mostly bad, still get the ball to go pretty straight down that fairway down there. So it all works. So I don't think there's any magic swing out there, but we have learned a few tricks that we teach people on let's just say the mechanics of golf swings, of how tight the grip is, or mirror image swings at the end of it. And I may have taught him a few things like that too. All right, we're going to be wrapping up this great podcast here. And I know everybody's attention span is only so long, and we're running out of batteries here too. So we'll make that all work. I wanted to throw a quote at you that is kind of a political preset here. I was watching a documentary many years ago, and it was asking several of the average Chinese people as they were beginning to get the internet and get connected and begin to learn more about what was the propaganda umbrella around them. And they were shown videos of Tiananmen Square, and a lot of them were like they couldn't believe that had happened. They didn't even know that event had happened. And so they said, well, if my government did this, I trust my government. They may not always do things the way I like or would even support, but we've been here 7,000 or 8,000 years, so there must be doing something right. So I don't really like what they're doing, but I trust they're doing the right thing. And we're seeing a lot of stuff that our government's doing here that is horrifying to us on decisions they're making, how they're handling disasters and wars and things like that. Do you have the opinion of the average Chinese person who says, well, I don't necessarily like it, but I have to trust they're doing the right thing? Or I'm not so trustful. I don't know about you, but you may have a different viewpoint. What do you think about where our government has taken us so far in their decisions?
We're not in slavery anymore. So obviously there's been some trending the right way, but and I think every person in every decade is something going on. Like for me in my time, in my dad's time, in my grandparents' time, they've all said the same thing. Now we're in my grandchildren's time, right? And it's at this point where they see different things and they're saying, hey, man, I can't trust the government. I hear people say, I want to move out of America, right? They've probably been saying that forever, right? But now you hear more because there's more social media. More people can vocalize what they really want to say. There's more podcasts. There's more everything. So we're saying the things that people were saying, but they just never got public like that. So now we're hearing it more. So I think it's to a point where, yes, we do have trust issues with the government. I do too, right? I have it with the insurance companies. I have it with the medical in the medical field. I have it in wars. I have it. I don't really know what that war is all about. You can say what you want to say, but if you tell me one thing and I know that there's something behind closed doors that you're really fighting for, it might be money, right? It might be gold. It might be something, right? And so, yes, they lie to us. Yes, they don't. I've done it to my kids. I didn't tell you the whole truth, son, right? I didn't tell you everything, but I still try to have your back. But there's some things that I think that this country does well is for somebody like me from Pine Bluff, Arkansas, who grew up, I feel like it was poverty, and to be able to elevate and go and do something that I dreamt of doing and changing my family's dynamic, whether it's economically, financially, as far as food, they can eat differently, they can see things differently, they can travel. So for me personally, I still don't trust you. I still see things that you do that I hate, actually. I hate some of the laws they try to make, but at the same time, I don't want to go anywhere. The United States is probably the best place you can go because I traveled the world and I've seen a lot in this world. You can go anywhere. It's nothing like the United States. Now, people are nicer. They just don't have what we have. So I say you got to be happy where you are.
All right. Well said. And what a bunch of wisdom this man has. There's going to be another show down the road. We're going to have to bring him back to get deeper into some of his philosophies because he's really got an amazing heart and amazing faith. We didn't get into even how he got to so much of the faithful position he's at here. All of us have a different way of arriving at our spirituality and our faith, and that's a story in and of itself. So what we will learn today, though, is that these choices that we all can make can have incredible difficult components of them, but we have to realize there are probably no mistakes in life, just lessons. And it is a game of life. And so taking a man who's played a great game and pulled life's lessons out of it, that's how we're going to leave today's show. And so with that, good day, America. So just say 1, 2, 3, just like that.
All right, I'm going to rap a little bit. Lottie-dottie, we likes to party. We don't cause trouble. We don't bother nobody. We're just the men up on the mic. And when we rock up on the mic, we rock the mic, right? Yawning, yawn, keep you yawning, hell. Just to see you smile and enjoy yourself. It's the cozy condition. That's what we create. So that's our mission. All right, that's enough.
That's a wrap on that one.
Okay.
And hang on a second.
Yeah. Damn it. That's okay.
I just realized I forgot to turn on the recording. Good thing I caught that early.
That's good.
And that
was a good intro.
We'll even do better than
next time. Terrence Price. Why did I forget my own brother-in-law's name? Unbelievable. Couldn't believe Joaquin do that pitch. I was like, no! Are you kidding me? It's like he did it on purpose. Never talked to him since.
Really?
Not on purpose, though. Just like,
okay.
I think he knew that. And he never said anything. The season was over. He went to another team and never played it. I think he got released and never played again.
Really?
And so I never had a chance to talk to him again, and tell him, like, man, you remember when I was telling you? I wasn't mad at him like that, but I was disappointed that.
Is he on social media? You should DM him.
I don't remember him being on social media.
Get in his DMs. Hey, do you remember the time I told you?
I told you. Now, I don't want to do that. That'd be like a stab wound.